a revolutionary design concept, built to break records by a legion of brave men, protected by an aluminum skin. More than 25,000 people walk into the Sears Tower every day. It takes 104 elevators, some double-decker, to transport workers and visitors to the 110 floors of the tallest building in North America. The Sears Tower was considered the tallest building in the world until 1998, when the Petronas Towers in Malaysia surpassed it by 33 feet, but only with the help of decorative spires. It rises 1,450 feet above the city of Chicago and has one of the most impressive observation decks in the world.
In the world. First of all, they're two of the fastest. At top speed, they're going 1,600 feet per minute, and you start 2 levels in the basement and come up to the 103rd floor in about 60 seconds.
The 4.5 million square foot skyscraper, located in the heart of Chicago's Loop, includes offices, a private dining club, conference facilities, a U.S. post office, the 50,000 miles of electric wiring, 25,000 miles of plumbing, 80 miles of elevator cable, and 145,000 light fixtures in the Sears Tower. There is a staff of operating engineers who closely monitor the heating, ventilating, and air conditioning units located on floors 29 to 33, 64 to 66, 88 to 90, and 104 to 109. These floors are considered hidden because they can only be accessed by the freight elevators. Sears was looking for talented architects as well as talented employees. And where better to look than the birthplace of skyscrapers, Chicago. The idea of using tube construction was just starting to gain momentum in the architectural world.
Up until about 1960, most buildings were built with very wide spacing of columns and long spans between them, and these were called frame buildings, and that was the system that was used for many, many years, as can be demonstrated by the Empire State Building with its very large quantity of structural steel.
Fazlur Khan was best known in the architectural world as the father of tubular construction. His idea was to bring the exterior columns closer together so that the columns would act like a wall on the perimeter of the building. This would minimize the need for massive support columns in the center of the building. The Hancock Building as well as the World Trade Center buildings were both designed using this new construction method.
The idea for Sears Tower was that since this was such a large building, the tube started to become inefficient because it was so wide and so deep.
The Sears executives almost broke into applause. I mean, there were smiles all around the table.
Just a few weeks later, on July 27, 1970, Sears management publicly unveiled the model for the Sears Tower. A model for a building that would reach 1,450 feet into the sky. The model for the tallest building in the world.
The public was pretty excited about it.
The World Trade Center buildings were currently under construction in New York. They had been designed to be the tallest in the world. And now, the competition was on. And Chicago was poised to bring the title home. Ground was broken in August of 1970.
We started almost immediately. I didn't have finished working drawings.
The final beam was hoisted up the building.
I happened to be running the engine that day, and when I got to the 76th floor.
By 1974, the world's largest store, Sears Roebuck & Company, was now headquartered in the world's tallest building. Approximately 40% of the building was occupied by about 8,000 Sears workers. Ahead of its time, it was one of the first office spaces with robotic mail carriers buzzing through the halls. And in 1988, the Sears Tower that was built for $175 million in 1974 was put on the market for $1 billion.
People thought that Sears was too big for anybody ever to try to buy, to strip them of their assets. But then came the R.J. Reynolds and a couple of other major buys. People put together deals with junk bonds and a lot of other financing so that it now became possible that somebody would buy Sears and strip off the tower and some other assets. Therefore, the Sears board decided, let's sell the tower and take the money and buy some of our stock back. Let's put it into improving the stores.
After only 16 years in their custom-made headquarters, Sears moved out of the tower and into a complex in the Chicago suburbs. With Sears leaving almost the first 50 floors empty, the elevator system was revised and the entire lobby was redesigned. Some of the utilitarian travertine and plastic laminate that Sears had installed initially was replaced with stainless steel and granite.
And also a much more obvious entry to the sky deck was provided to try and encourage that business, which is a very profitable part of the operation of the building.
But the lobbies went through yet another transformation. After terrorists attacked the World Trade Center towers in New York City on September 11th, 2001.
Our security after 9/11 has changed dramatically.
Employees now gain access to their elevator banks with a sophisticated card access system, which opens sliding glass gates. While improvements to the lobbies were made through the years, the roof had its own additions. Sears Tower was upgraded in 2000 with 4 high-definition digital television combination antennas. An air crane was used to lift the load from the top of the parking garage skyward, about 1/4 mile. Being the highest point in the Chicago metropolitan area and allowing reception that reaches a 60 to 80 mile radius, the top of the Sears Tower has always been prime real estate.
The Sears building is very unique in its design because it's so big. It's called vertical real estate. And when you're in an area like this, anybody that has a broadcast system or a two-way system or any kind of an RF where they want a wireless system put in, the Sears building was built with that in mind. So they capitalize on it.
Years ago, when the Sears Tower and Petronas Towers in Malaysia competed for the tallest building in the world title, the Sears Tower antennas arguably put the Sears Tower on top. However, in 2004, a skyscraper in Taiwan was erected and captured all the record titles. Well, almost all.
The Taipei 101 building is certainly considered now the tallest building in the world. It is taller than the Sears Tower, roof line, I think by about 30 feet if I'm not mistaken. So we will give them credit for that. As far as our antennas, though, we still have the tallest antennas in the world, and those extend 287 feet above the roof line.
But with or without the antennas, the Sears Tower retains the name of the company that dreamt big enough to build it, and remains a triumph for the people who worked on it and work in it.
It's great when I can look out from 10 miles away and see a Sears Tower standing so tall, and it's great to feel that you were a part of it.
What makes Sears Tower what it is the actual character of the building itself. I'm here, look at me. I stand above everything else that's out there.
It's become a symbol of Chicago. Almost any time you see a picture of Chicago, you might see the Hancock building, but for sure you're going to see the Sears Tower. Still, it's the tallest building in North America, and we can't lose sight of that.